The game is on. Offense has stalled. He's on Twitter. A foul is called. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com. There's JPJ.
Who?
He just got creamed.
Shocking.
Does the ref not know? Bad calls affect both teams.
Oh, no!
Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com. Jack Mitchell is triggered on Twitter.com.
And he's broadcasting from...
Kill
that now.
Tweet!
Are you in a... Is that... Where is this? I've never seen this room before.
You've been in this room many times.
That's no way. Is that your office?
It's my basement.
Really?
What?
Gosh, I guess I don't recognize it.
It's the back half of it. I'm looking into the room that we usually sit in.
Oh, I see. So you've kind of changed some things up. You have your own little radius studio now.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't have enough room for all my equipment. You probably can't see it all, but I got all my equipment now here, and so yeah, I've set up down here now with my fancy stuff that I'm screwing around with.
I see. Cool. Well, Josh tells me you were dancing. I'm not surprised.
Oh yeah, Jack, I have video of you at the end of the night.
Did you break anything?
No, I mean, broke a move, if you will, or a busted one. But other than that, no. No, it was fine. It was good. I had a great time. I mean, you got a dance floor. I guess you're supposed to dance. So I did.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm sad that you didn't break it out when I was there, but that's okay. I appreciate it.
It was a little early. I mean, you guys left before the party got going. You left before the pizza got there.
Yeah, we had pizza at the end of the night from the birthday man.
Well, I can say
it was tasty.
I can say this now, but the fact that there was no wedding cake was very disappointing to one member of our party. So
you?
No, not me.
Not you.
Well, I was a little disappointed.
See, I knew it was going to be donuts. I knew it was going to be donuts going.
Yeah.
In, so
this is one thing you millennials have done to weddings. Have just killed it. And
I didn't even find those. I didn't even see those or have one.
They were on the opposite corner from where we were sitting.
Yeah.
The exact opposite corner.
Yeah.
I was too busy chatting.
Yeah. Oh, Jack was talking to a lot of people.
That was a professional networking event. It was a big opportunity for me. I don't get up to you Omaha people. I don't get up to see you guys very often, so I had to use it.
Well, we were talking earlier about the athletic director search. This is day 17, by the way. Would you have, if I would have told you the two? What is it? Well, it's been 2 Fridays now. That we'd still be looking 17 days later. Would that have surprised you?
Well, if you would have told me right off the bat, yeah, definitely would have, because I absolutely thought they had their person who had already said yes, and that was the reason they did the whole thing. That was my working theory from the beginning. And so, yeah, I certainly would have been surprised by that.
Why do you think that this is the case? Do you think it comes because I think we all have a theory now, and I think most of us have a theory that football might be scaring some people off a little bit to a degree, that, knowing that there could be a tough decision coming. Do you think that that's the case? Do you think that they were turned down by Pollard and now they're in this area of, okay, we got to do a lot of research into a lot of people, or is it people doing research in Nebraska?
I mean, it's a complete guess on my part, but yeah, my guess, I still think they did it because they thought they could strike when the iron is hot. I just thought they were probably more sure of that than they actually were. And so, yeah, I think maybe it was Pollard where they said, okay, this is our chance. If we wait here until the end of the contract, he's going to go somewhere else, or there's not going to be a shot. This is our best chance with him. So let's go for it. Let's make the offer that he can't refuse. He refused it. And then you're back to the drawing board at that point. And to me, that's my best guess, but that's pure speculation at this point.
Is there a date where if they don't have somebody locked up by, July, whatever, August, whatever, that you really do start getting concerned?
I would say by the end of July. Yeah.
So still a few weeks though.
Yeah, I think till the end of the month. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if they find somebody good, it's not going to matter a whole lot how long the process takes.
Correct.
No, I just don't want to. I just don't want to ingratiate someone during the middle of the football season. Really.
No.
What could be a crazy football season?
Right, but they literally hired their last athletic director right in the middle of a football season. So
And how did that go?
Well, honestly, it went pretty well.
Yeah, but the purpose
they got the three coaching hires that people wanted.
Yeah, but John, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You and I have talked about this too. The last 3 athletic directors have been hired. If you boil it down, they were probably hired to fire someone. True. I don't want that to be the case with this athletic director. Right. I think the key, if I'm telling this athletic director what his or her job is, it is first and foremost, find a way to allow this football coaching staff to be more successful than they have been. Whatever needs to happen, whatever's going wrong, find a way to get them to a place where they can have success and they can enjoy success. That's job one. Assigning that in, every time a week passes, assigning that for this year is going to be harder, I guess I would say.
I still think they could go into early August and be okay because the season doesn't start until the end of August. I still think they could go, I wouldn't go much past that. I do understand the point of I would like to have someone there ready to watch and observe and see how everything is operating before the first game. Absolutely.
Because that's absolutely job one. That is job one, in my opinion, for this athletic director, what I just said. And yes, the timing, the earlier, the better for this season to do all those things you mentioned, to observe, to start to get to know people, to have those conversations, the better.
Yeah, in a way, Jack, I wrote down a question earlier this morning. Does Scott Frost need to prove to his bosses why he should be kept, or does he need to prove to his bosses why he should be fired? Does that make sense? And it's kind of what you just hit on a second ago about the last few athletic directors were brought in, at the end of the day to make a change with the football coach. And so I wonder, just in terms of a mindset thing, and the next athletic director is not going to come out and say this, but I do wonder how they will be approaching the job. Are they approaching it glass half full of, hey, if something is going to happen negatively, he's going to have to show me that he deserves to be fired? Or will they be entering glass half empty of, hey, he needs to show me why he deserves to have this job for, more years than maybe he should?
I don't know. I hope it's neither of those. I honestly believe that it's on the athletic director is not tasked right now in the near future, should not be thinking about a change at the top. Your number one job, the onus is on you at this point to get this coaching staff to a place where they should be able to succeed. There's no reason that they aren't right now. And so, to be honest, and I know that probably gives Scott Frost, more credit than is due right now at this point. But I do not think going through another stinking transition like this after Scott Frost is just absolutely, it'd be so bad for we are where we are, but it'd be so bad for the program. So it's neither of those right now. That's not for me. And I know this probably isn't the actual case, but for me, that's not even a discussion, is prove being fired or prove being, the AD needs to prove that they can get the football direction, at least in a place. Obviously the coaches have more impact, but they can do what needs to be done to give them the tools to get in the right place, whatever that is.
Though what you pointed out, the message you got on Twitter earlier today really cut right to the chase.
Oh, yeah. You want me to read that one?
Yeah, please do.
This was from Salt Creek and Stadium. Says, honestly curious if the specter of firing Scott Frost or the fear of having to make him grow up is off-putting to candidates.
And I think that's it. That's, to me, that really cuts right to the heart of the question, because no matter what, whether you're intending to keep the status quo with a football program, you're not wanting to keep the status quo when it comes to results. And it is obvious right now that something has to change in order for the results to change. So, and there's been a lot of speculation that one of the things that maybe had turned off Jamie Pollard to this job was the idea of, you're going to put me in charge over here, and I'm going to have to try to, either discipline this guy or at least try to steer him in a different direction. Meanwhile, he's got all the cachet because he's the popular the hometown boy, whereas I'm the outsider. And I've already seen this university have issues with new hires and incumbent coaches, i.e. Bo Pelini versus Sean Eichhorst. I don't want to be a part of that mess.
Yeah, it is really a double-edged sword. You're right, because you've got to have a good relationship, right? I mean, you've got to have that good relationship with the incoming staff, but with the existing staff at this point. But you can't. I talked myself into a circle there, but I'm affirming your point that you essentially to get this place going in the right direction, this new athletic director cannot have the relationship that Bill Callahan had with Tom Osborne, that Bo Pelini had with Sean Eichhorst, with any of that. They've got to have some level of closeness and ability to work together and happiness on both sides of it. On the other hand, and this was my point, you also have to have something change, right? And that's what you were getting at as well. You've got to do both of those things somehow. Forge a relationship that has the potential for success, but also change the things that aren't going right now. And that's the difficult part of the job. And maybe that is what turns people off.
Jack, Michael and Damon were having a discussion this morning, and I think it was Damon who brought it up, and I thought it was a great point. Like, what has changed that now has caused us to have some of these conversations? Because if you think back to December, even after another season under 500, 12-20, we all know the record, there wasn't talk of like year 4 being this, this could potentially be it. This is the put up or shut up year. And that conversation has shifted. And there are markers along the way in the offseason as to why. Oklahoma, that situation, certainly. Bill Moose and maybe what he had to say expectations-wise, certainly.
The Moose decree.
And then now Moose being gone. When do you think that this all changed, where collectively we started having these discussions? Because I'll be honest, I'm very surprised, now that we've been doing it for a couple of months, that we are talking about Frost like this, because I never would have expected that.
Were we not at the end of last year? I honestly don't remember.
I don't think we were.
No, I don't think so. Now, that said, I still maintain my point that the people that are doing the hiring are very much in Scott Frost's corner, from the chancellor to the president to certain members of the Board of Regents. And so as long as that stays the same, I don't necessarily see anything nefarious. Though I do get, and I saw a few comments from national writers in the last few days, where anytime you lose an athletic director who hired somebody and that somebody hasn't been performing very well, the natural first inclination is to default, oh, well, they're bringing in a new AD to crack the whip and maybe fire the guy.
Yeah, that's part of it. If it did change, Josh, and I don't know, I just don't know if it did or not. Mm-hmm. I think that Oklahoma thing was part of it. I do think that was part of it. That felt like some desperation. And then, this Moose thing now obviously has impacted it as well. But beyond that, I think the other thing is, and I'm not sure how much of this happened in the offseason, but this is what I'm getting at all the time when I talk about Frost, is he doesn't seem happy. He just doesn't hardly ever. What's that?
Like, that's what listeners, like fans of the program, that's what they say?
No, I'm just saying my perception of Frost that is increased year after year at this place is it's not what he expected. He isn't happy. He just isn't. It just hasn't turned out in a variety of ways like he thought it was going to. And that keeps, and every week and every month that happens, it just gets more and more cumulative. So that would be my other explanation too, is it just, I don't know. It's a combination of events that actually happened. Of course, rumors are everywhere and those sorts of things that are out there. Yeah. But you just start, it just feels like every day, every week that passes doesn't, it's not like the likelihood of kind of having a reconnection and having success. It doesn't feel like the two parties are getting closer together. It feels like they're getting further apart. That's what this AD's job is, to completely reverse that, in my opinion.
Are you surprised? One more AD question for me, Jack, that Trev Alberts, we just read an excerpt from the Sipple column from today, and it sounds like he might really, really be in the mix. And I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised, just given that they've replaced this role 2 times in the last decade, and it didn't seem like he was a serious candidate for either of those times. And I thought he would have been. If he was going to get hired, I thought it would have been 2017 and maybe even in 2012. Are you surprised that his name now is in the mix?
Well, I'm not because at one point, I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But there was one point, and this is probably, John, back when you and I were doing the show, that I thought Trev Alberts was a shoo-in to be the next athletic director. In fact, John, I think we talked to him or had him on the show or something, or we talked to him maybe at a press conference where they announced one of the new coach. I don't remember what it was, but I remember talking to Trev at that time before he had done the UNO thing, and I think he was still maybe working with ESPN or something like that. And I asked him, and I was like, do you have interest in doing something like that? And he was like unabashed at that point in saying that he had interest, which isn't surprising, I don't think, to anyone. And so there was a period of time in my mind that I always thought that was destined to happen. Mm-hmm. And then the UNO thing happened, which I don't think anybody would have been surprising to me at the time. And then there was kind of the PR stuff that happened with the athletic department, and you guys know about that better than I do with football and wrestling. And then after that happened, he sort of faded to a different place in the discussion, I think. Maybe there's some kind of a statute of limit. Maybe that's not as big a deal as it was anymore. You're probably right, Josh. You're probably right that it should be more surprising now because it was such a non-factor. He was such a non-factor the other times. But for some reason, I always still thought that was going to potentially come around at some point. And it does seem to make I don't know what his relationship with Scott Frost is. So that would be very interesting because they were different eras.
Yep.
So I don't, and
he hasn't been shy to be critical of the football program,
right,
and native sons.
Right.
For him, after Solich got fired, he did not come on ESPN and say like, "Oh no, woe was me." He was like, "He's not getting it done." Mm-hmm. You know, he defended the firing. So yeah, he's interesting.
Yeah, it'd be a weird place between. I mean, of course, when Davison's name is mentioned, he's Frost's friend, he's his contemporary, he's that sort of thing. Trev feels like a little bit different than that.
Mm-hmm.
Still a football guy, but a little bit different than that.
He does,
which would be weird.
Yeah, there's some other things we can get into later, Josh, when it comes to Trev Alberts that to me is even more interesting. But we'll save that for a little bit because here we go. You know, I know a lot of folks are focused, and rightfully so, that Rob Childress is back with Nebraska baseball. I'm excited for Rob. I'm excited for Nebraska baseball. But to me, it comes back to when you hire good people, good things will happen. Will Bolt was a great hire, and now good things continue to happen. Even though, you know, Nebraska's going to, you know, had a couple players taken in the draft today, and, you know, that's to be expected with baseball. But to me, that was the big thing that came out of yesterday's news to me was, wow, imagine that. You hire a really good coach, and he puts the pieces together, and now baseball is back on a track that seemed like they weren't as far off as maybe a lot of people thought, but they're certainly on a track right now that looks very encouraging.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing it happened when there was no athletic director?
Yeah, two major moves. I mean, Bolt got extended and a raise, and they hire Rob Childress.
Like the best era. All these major baseball decisions are going to be made with, and I don't know how the chain of command works on that exactly, but I thought that was really interesting. And you're right, John. And you hope those people are there with the football program. You hope they are. There's still just this sense that I hope they can get rid of this kind of unhappy to be here, kind of feeling sorry for themselves, everything stacked against us. That meant I still hear it. And the Oklahoma thing exacerbated it. And the comments about the schedule exacerbated it. And going back to the 1997 Central Florida game over and over again, a relationship with fans exacerbated it. You wouldn't expect to hear any of that, obviously, from those guys you mentioned on the baseball side of things. It's a different situation, but like you would never even think of that, right?
No,
those things, right? It's that whole "we don't care" thing that Jackson Hallmark was talking about. Don't care. It feels maybe I'm overstating it. Maybe I just am still burned from the Bo Pelini years and the things that the way that he related to the program and the fans, because I really was. That my disdain for him is at such high levels because he did not, he just disliked that whole part of it. He did not enjoy that part of the program. And that I really didn't like that as a fan and a supporter of the program. And man, maybe I'm oversensitive to it with Frost now, but I see some of the same things. And that to me, until he's happy and excited and all of those things that we talk about, the baseball staff or any other successful coaching staff, thrilled about challenges, getting rid of the grudges and the negativity in the past, I don't know if there is going to be success, to be honest.
Greg and Lincoln talking about emotions, says not happy or just doesn't show emotions much publicly. Nebraska went from Bo, mad a lot in public, to Riley, pretty happy in public, so Frost's demeanor is different.
I don't necessarily mean body language, demeanor, that kind of a thing. You get the sense in hearing him talk, and we hear him talk a lot, that this just hasn't gone like he envisioned. Obviously it hasn't gone like he envisioned it. Obviously but I think I don't know, nobody expected the story, but I just get the feeling that he is really not enjoying this like he thought he would. And I think that's an issue. I really do. I think that is an issue. And I don't know what the root of it is. I don't know if it's because the success just hasn't been there. I don't know. The people, it shouldn't be like a Bo Pelini situation where he doesn't like the people he's working for, because I assume, he's got people around, he's got Bill Moose around him. Like you mentioned, he's got Ronnie Green around him, his supporter.
Yeah, there's no internal strife. At least in terms of, like Bo had his nemesis inside the athletic department.
Yeah.
If there's a nemesis for Scott Frost inside the athletic department, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, there is one. And then I guess, Bo, it was the fan pressure and the fan reaction and the negativity of the fans. And Frost obviously knew that and knew what that was going to be like. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't agree with my kind of assessment, but he just feels like, to me, he looks like he'd rather be somewhere else a lot of the time.
No, we haven't talked about that a whole lot over the last couple of years. He seems miserable.
Yes,
he seems miserable. His body language all the time at every press conference. He does not look. And yes, they're 12-20. Why would anybody be happy? He hasn't looked happy. I mean, his opening press conference, he has the whole thing, and then he goes over to the media and's like, stay away from my family. So it's like immediately he's laying the groundwork for like, this is going to be bad. Yeah.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I'm with you.
It's just that little bit of that whole Bo Pelini thing. Obviously, they got very different personalities, but just that little bit of disdain for everything, the media, for the fans, let's go back to 1997. I would like to never hear a reference to that 1997 thing again. Yeah. You don't care. Yeah. We get it. And by the way, I think it's blown out of proportion. I was there.
It was closer to 800 people booing than 80,000.
Yes,
so
I was there.
Actually, more closer to 80 people booing than 80,000.
But this gets to my point, guys. This AD's job is to get him to quit feeling and acting like that. That's bottom line.
And maybe that is if that is something that's swirling in the head of a potential candidate, maybe that is something that is scaring them off the duty.
Perhaps, but it shouldn't be that hard. I mean, you would think if you're a talented athletic director somewhere else to come in and do that, but.
All right, well, there he is. It's Jack Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen.
That was a kind of a controversial off-season interview there.
Oh, by the way, speaking of
thank you,
you
John.
promised something on this segment a few months ago that you had. Was it 7?
8.
Oh,
8.
I like 7. We'll make it 7 different, unique,
original
sports.
Oh, okay.
Topics.
It's
so they just need to be. Yes, I complained about the. No, I know. I complained about sports radio during the dog days and just going back to the same old topics over and over again.
Be in the Hall of Fame, like that type of stuff. Yes. Michael is LeBron, 402-951-1620.
Yeah, is soccer a sport or what? That kind of thing. Yeah. So you want topics? So I forgot what I said, to be honest.
You basically just said unique, original summer sports topics.
Okay.
And that you would give us the ideas, and then we would discuss them on the show.
Okay. Well, I'll work on. We're out of time now. I mean, I just had too many.
Well, I wasn't asking for on the spot of the moment, but it is past the College World Series.
Okay. Well, next Monday,
paper is due.
Next Monday, I'll work on that.
All right.
For next Monday, I'll work on that.
Thank you.
Your term paper is due.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you later. Go and rest those hips after the wild dancing on Saturday night.
They didn't lie. And your hip don't lie, and it's starting to make you cry. Deception. Oh, baby, this is perfection.
Like
I didn't really know that you could act like that.
We'll say goodbye, everybody.
Bye,
We'll be back in a minute on 1620 The Zone.